Hello and welcome to Cheshire Audio. Now then, new product. I mention these the other day actually. These are the new Cupids. That's Cupid with a K. Not a new Lin product. These are Dali's new small loudspeakers, which I was quite excited about because I've got this sort of thing about small monitors. I think there's something about a small cabinet which is easier to control and easier to get a nice clear sound out of. Obviously, you struggle with the bass a little bit with small cabinets, but if you're clever about it, you can actually produce a really nice linear sound out of them. Now these sort of fall below the Oberons. I mean, they're surprisingly good value for money actually. These are £300 a pair, or £299, whatever. The choice of colours, if you're wondering why, I'll talk about that. Yeah, choice of colours. They're just like a fun product in a way. I almost sort of discounted them as thinking, well, it's just, it's a bit of a lifestyle thing. Not at all, actually. These are really well thought through. Probably difficult for you to tell in the, because they're slightly forward of me. These are only about 10 inches tall. If I get, I'll just put an Oberon. I've got my max in there. I brought an Oberon 1, so this is the smallest Oberon. They are a good step down in size from the Oberon 1. Not massively smaller, but they're, in every dimension they're, a good inch smaller, which kind of counts for a lot if you're struggling for space. Now these are my sort of favourite small monitors really, to sort of sensibly priced small monitors. And I did sort of wonder, are these going to kill the Oberon 1? Good question. Well, I don't think they do. I think these are undeniably Dalis. They've got a huge sound for the size of the box, very open and clear and punchy, and everything you would expect, because it's the usual Dali thing. They're not just built to price. The build of these, if anything, they feel better than the Oberon. There's some very clever little. I'll walk you around in a sec, but there's some very clever little mouldings and things like that, where the sockets go at the back, the ports, and this sort of thing. It's all beautifully made, and you can tell just the way they present the sound that they've been listened to and played with and made to be as good as possible for the money, really. I mean, I don't tend to go with specifications, but the specifications are quite interesting. They're rating the frequency response from 60 hertz, around about 60 hertz, up to 23,000 hertz. So beyond what you'd expect for a small monitor, and that's at minus 3 dB, which quite often you'll have with small speakers. They won't do minus 3 dB. It'll be minus 6, minus 9 even, which kind of pushes the boundaries at either end quite a bit and makes the figures look more favourable. 3 dB down on a response curve is actually brave, really, on a small speaker like this. But they must be pretty well linear. Well, that means they're pretty well linear across that range, which is really good. I mean, you don't get that on small monitors at all. Generally, they'll be starting to seriously tail off to 150 hertz. I mean, the top end is easy. I mean, that's just to do with the treble unit. The bottom end is to do with physics. It's to do with the size of the cabinet. So the fact that these are still producing bass down to 60 hertz, 60 hertz at 3 dB down, is astonishing, to be honest. They kind of get round it by not being very efficient. I mean, that's probably the only thing about them which may be an issue, possibly. I'll talk about that again in a sec, because I don't think it is an issue, but these are 83 dB, so they're considerably less efficient than things like the Oberons and a lot of smaller speakers like this. But then a lot of the competition don't have that linearity of response, really. I think generally that won't be a problem, because I think these will be used in small rooms, like bedroom systems and on desks and things like that. And 83 dB, I mean, it's half the volume per watt of, I'm trying to think of what are the Oberons about 86, 87? I think probably about half the volume for the same wattage as you would out of a pair of Oberon ones. That doesn't really matter. I mean, just you turn the volume up a little bit more, and most amplifiers have got enough headroom to cope with that. And particularly, like I said, in a small room, it's not really going to become an issue, that. But what it does mean is you've got a very small box which produces a very full range sound, with all the clarity and the dynamics and everything that you'd expect from the Dalis, really. I think compared to the Oberons, I've not done a lot of comparison. They're not as big a sound and as open and natural as the Oberon. But then the Oberon is a more expensive range, and that's kind of what you'd expect, really. So overall, I do really like I said, I really like them. I think they're surprisingly good for something which is so pretty. Now, back to the colour. They're coming 5 different colours. There's black, walnut. I think it's basically vinyl wraps, but very good vinyl wraps. Yeah, black walnut. There's a cream colour. I'll put a picture up of the range actually. Black walnut, cream, a blue, which I can't remember what they call it now. It suggests it's a bright blue, I think the name, but it's actually quite a subtle dark blue. It's almost a could almost look black in a darker room. These are yellow, according to the brochure. Sorry, Dali, they're not. These are orange, but I really like this finish, and that's why I got them. I just thought they looked really good in this finish. This looks like a paint finish, like a really good quality satin finish. It's actually, this is vinyl too, and I didn't realise until I read the brochure that these are actually a vinyl wrap. Really, 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 really well done, actually. All the edges and things like that, there's no sign of it being vinyl wrap whatsoever. There's no seams. There's nothing to give that away. It just looks like a really nice paint finish. What I'll do is show you around these a little bit, because, like I said, the mouldings and the quality of it is just incredible. Well, actually, what I'll do, I'll compare it to the Oberon, because the Oberon is more conventional. Let's move the camera across. So if we look at the front panel for a start, it's sort of dispersion ring around the front there. These are like a wood pulp, I think it is, driver. I think these use like a carbon fiberglass mix of paper and whatever. I'm really good at remembering facts, aren't I? So it's a slightly different makeup anyway, but I know these use sort of a wood pulp, so it's basically a kind of paper cone, which is good. Not paper, fantastic. I mean, it's sort of like, Dali'd probably be cross with me for saying it's paper, but basically it's like a wood pulp design. But this moulding is beautiful. It feels gorgeous. It's really smooth. Fits really nicely. It just looks properly integrated with the front panel. It doesn't look like it's just slapped on the front. And around the back, just straight. There's no bi-wiring. Bi-wiring seems to be a bit of almost thankfully a thing of the past, really. Very conventional setup on the back of the Oberons, your standard sort of panel that you see on loads of speakers. These are this beautiful moulded, again, this lovely sort of soft feel plastic, Dali sort of embossed in it. Decent quality terminals. This sort of flared port on the back there, which, I can't remember what they call that now. There is a specific name for that sort of port, but it's really nicely engineered. Apparently, these are wall mountable. I'm not sure. There's an awful lot of speakers out there that say they're wall mountable, which kind of shouldn't be, really. These are reported, but yeah, we'll see. I think they come with the bracket, basically. They come with like little hanger hooks for you to put them on the wall. I can't actually see how they would mount, but they come with the brackets, so there must be a way. I should have researched that one before I started talking about it. But yeah, they do come with a little kit to hang them on a wall. So yeah, I think I'm really impressed with them. I think all right, you're only saving £100 over a pair of Oberons, and the Oberon is still a better speaker, but I think they're quite cute, really. And I think in a little office or a little bedroom system, they'd work really well. So yeah, there you go. Dali Cupids. Really, really like what Dali are doing nowadays. They really, I've said this before, they still care about the product. And I know that's an odd thing to say, but it's still the original owners who are dictating the progression of models. Not like some of the big brands nowadays where it's all the finance department, and the finance department might be people that brought in from the kitchen industry, kitchen worktop industry, or the car industry, or caravan industry, or some random place, and it's all about business. It's all about selling numbers. Dali is still more aligned with the likes of Riga and Neat and the small Proax and that sort of company, where it's all about making the best possible, and that's quite something in the sort of modern climate. So they've got a big range, big coverage. They produce loads of models, but they've still got that sort of care and attention with what they sound like and how they're made. And I think I really like them. So there you go. I'll end that one there. The future videos, I've got quite a few lined up. I was hoping to do a few more, but as usual, whenever I promise I'm going to do some more videos, things all go astray. Review of probably one of my favourite amplifiers of all time. It's been around for a bit. I've bought a new demonstrator which is downstairs. I'm considering lifting it and bringing it up the stairs, but it's looking at me, so I don't know when I'm going to do that. It's really heavy. What else have I got? I just added a load of things onto the second-hand page on the website. So there's a few things on there, a few new things in that have come in, and a few things I've decided to sell, which I was sort of umming and ahhing about. But I'll put a few things onto the second-hand page on the website, so if you want to have a quick look before everybody else finds it. I think that's it. I just said there was a big list of things I could do videos on, and I've only mentioned one, haven't I? There is, I just can't remember what they are. Watch this space, I suppose, is the answer to that. Okay, yeah, thanks for watching. I will see you in a future video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget you can buy me a coffee if you've watched one of the helpful videos I've done of setting up turntables. Much appreciated if you do that. See you soon. Thank you.